of the Google Doc, okay? And we don't have a lot of time, and I don't have a lot of bandwidth or energy, but we need to do this while it's fresh in our mind. I'm going to the bottom of the doc. And what I would just ask is if you guys can jump in the document, and what we need to do is just outline each piece of the project and what we need to do differently.
Natalie, can you share it with me? I can only view it. I put my Gmail account in the chat.
Okay. Who would you like to be? Susan M. Bearden at HTS?
Gmail. Susan.m.bearden@gmail.com.
Susan M. Bearden.
Make sure you got the dots in between.
What?
Susan.m.bearden@gmail.com. It's in the chat.
Beard. Oh, now she tells me in the chat I can just copy it. Oh my goodness. Okay. And I'm going to say very verbose here, and I have just sent that to you. You should be able to get
y'all
that.
See kind of at the bottom, those of you who are able to get in there.
Yes.
So could we do our own little version of a swarm, since we're all so tired and exhausted, of what needs to happen differently? And I've tried to kind of outline, because I think maybe we had more phases than we had designated. And that perhaps we just need to kind of say, okay, this is what needs to happen. And just try to get this stuff in here and figure out what needs to be different.
No, that's not really on that.
Oh, Susan, I messed you up. I'm sorry. I can't get after you. Susan, would you press enter a couple times so I could go after you? There you go. And then you can go back up. Sorry. Thank you.
Hmm.
I tried, I just couldn't get into it. What's the thing that kept on doing?
Dawn, do you want to just dial in later since we're kind of descending on the dot? I hate for you to have to sit here and listen to air.
Oh, hang on. I think I just did my mic wrong. Oops.
Well, it's up to you, Dawn.
Oh, there we go. Now I can hear you. Do that again. I'm sorry.
We're just descending on the document right now. I mean, you can listen to dead air if you want to. I think we're going to talk about it here in just a minute. We're not going to take
okay.
Tonight, but
and I'm on the red in that document. I put a bunch of stuff in today before I left for my kids' pre-K.
Cool. So it's up to you if you want to listen to us or if you want to dial back in a minute or not. It's just totally up to you.
Yes, she did. And I think the Junior just joined us.
Oh, hi, Junior.
Hey, I was actually in the call for a bit. I was trying to talk and didn't talk, and so I just kicked myself out and came back on, and it looks like everything's fine. So.
Well, here you are. We are working in the Google Doc that Natalie set up.
Awesome. I'm in a car driving, so.
Yeah, so please don't type.
You guys hear me right now?
Yeah.
No.
Oh. Okay.
No, my phone has the camera on the back, so mine doesn't even do that. Now my iPad would.
Okay. I'm just trying to figure out how this works on the phone. I've never messed with it before. Now it thinks I'm driving.
Huh.
Okay, so people are just adding things to the document, and we just need to kind of map out what needs to happen differently. And I think the best thing to do is just to say, okay, this or that needs to be different. We've talked about fall, we've talked about spring. I kind of think if we did this, if we kicked it off, January 1, we might have enough time to get it done. I mean, the other option is to go fall, but then so many of us have stuff to cover in the fall. I'm not sure if my students would be ready in the fall. Do y'all have quick thoughts about fall versus spring?
Did you guys read the comments I made about having to front load the kids a little bit better with information?
Yeah, I think I saw that you had at first thought you would be in the fall, but then maybe you thought maybe spring. Is that what you thought, Dawn?
I was conflicted. I kind of think that I need some time to front load them, and I like the idea of fall being a more stable time for everyone, and we seem to have attention better. But then I noticed in this, obviously I need to front load them on, because these are my freshmen mostly. They don't know how to really do a lot of the things I have to teach them, so fall is good to do that. But if we did spring, I think we need to start earlier, like almost January when we kind of come back, like mid-January.
Yeah. We try to start
Maybe be done at spring break.
Done at spring break. I don't know if we could be done by spring break. I think it's going to be hard to compress the time we did it in much from what we had. We needed more time for feedback for sure.
Yeah.
And we I hope y'all all fill out the feedback to Chris Arentz, because we've definitely got to have some better processes to, I wish some of the Trello stuff was almost built into Chris Arentz, or if there was a way to link the pages from Trello. Like there needs to be some sort of way to do better with what we have. I think the kids kind of chafed at wanting to have more than just being able to do informational apps.
Yeah, that too.
I think the judges, some of them were critical of the fact that it was just informational apps. So, we've got that issue. Unless we do some more HTML programming or something. The face-to-face issue, of course, is an issue. I mean, the other thought is this, guys, is to take a longer term approach and saying, okay, we're going to have these partners that we collaborate with, every so often, and do the handshake in August, and then maybe have them blog to get like one activity a month, so that by January they kind of know each other a little bit, where they're mystery Skyping with one of the classes, or, and just kind of make it a longer term where, we connect, we do all the handshake. I'm just talking about handshake, familiarization earlier. And then it wouldn't be so intense at that beginning piece, where you've already kind of connected or something. I don't know. What do you think about that, Susan? Yeah, little mini projects, Dawn. I can't hear you, Susan.
Okay. I'm thinking, well, so you're talking more about having it be like a year-long project?
I don't know if it would be a year long, or if we would do like, just some handshake stuff, like little tiny mini things, like you and I are going to do a mystery Skype, in August, and Natalie and Dawn are going to do something in September, where it's almost like quad blogging, or just like some low key handshake activities where you kind of say, okay, fall is our handshake time. And then we just go straight into heartbreak mapping, because we already have them on the wiki and they've already done some handshake stuff before then. That'll save, 2.5, 3 weeks.
Yeah, I think that that might be helpful. I mean, one of my suggestions is that I would recommend that people who participate in this project actually have a class that they work with their kids, because I know it was frustrating for me
Yeah.
only seeing my kids one day a week, and I think Junior kind of had some of the same challenges with him only seeing his kids after school, and they had funky schedules, and I think it also just made it harder for me to keep my kids engaged and connected to the project and to contribute as much to their teams. So I think that would be, I think it's best if the cohorts match in terms of like those of you who have your students that you see every single day, or even if one group could see, even if one teacher only saw their kids 3 days a week, at least that would be 3 days a week when they had a regular meeting time. Because I think we all felt that like it was like we were relying a lot on the class time to just kind of like push and prod and beat people over the head to get them to finish their stuff at the last minute.
Yeah, unless the kids who didn't have it every day or did an after school club were either sounding boards or helped run judging or something.
Right, yeah,
Found
yeah,
something, a piece that they could run, I guess.
right.
Um,
Like, I just know for me personally, I just felt bad because I didn't feel like my students were contributing as much as I wanted them to, and that was happening for a variety of reasons. But I think only seeing them one day a week was a really big factor for me.
yeah, totally
Yeah,
understand.
I can definitely agree with that. I recognize the part of the process that my kids probably enjoyed the most, given that given the amount of time that they can actually spend towards the project or whatever, was actually when I was after spring break, when I was asking like, hey, how can how can my students continue to help out, or how can they continue to be involved? And they were like, there were some tasks that needed to happen, everything from the app trailer to app description to different things, and they enjoyed being able to help out during that time period. Like they seemed to be like extremely responsive, more responsive than I've seen them, throughout the session. And I'm talking about them as a whole, because of course there are a couple of other individuals who kept up with the group and stayed engaged, and I actually didn't know that they were staying engaged until I spoke with them later on, and some of them out there have been keeping in touch with their group since spring break, during spring break, etc. I think Drew Smith was one of them, and I just recognized that it seemed like they enjoyed being part of the project. They enjoyed being willing to help where they could, given the limited time constraint that some of them had at first. And honestly, I think that might have just been due to the spring break issue that we experienced. That kind of totally derailed us.
Well, and the other idea is to have kids who do the after school clubs or once or twice could be the swarm. This whole idea of you could be the swarm, and you could almost have teams say, hey, we need help swarming this or swarming that, and put a call out, and almost like outsourcing. We did something similar in Flat Classroom. We would say, I need a 10-second video clip of this, or a 10, and you post your outsourcing requests, and then the kids signed up for those outsourcing requests to do it. So they could be the swarm, or they could be the outsourcing team, where they could come in and their job might be, Susan, and I'd love to know what you think of this, because this is similar to what Junior said. You could have the outsource requests from each of the teams, and then say, this is what we've requested. These are the different tasks we need. We need you to check all the suicide prevention numbers, or we need help with our trailer, or we need help with this or that. And then people could sign up to outsource that. I mean, they don't even have to use Coursera. Honestly, they could be working on video or working on a website. What you think about that, guys?
Yeah, that might be an interesting way to include kids who aren't able to meet as regularly. I think anytime you can give kids choice, it's a good thing.
Yeah. And Dawn said, that collaborate on the lessons earlier and tweak and adapt and plan it out better. And I think those are all things we can do, because we were really just trying to create everything this time. So I definitely think we could plan it and split it up. And what we've done in the past, Dawn, with some of our other projects Lisa and I've done, is after we've done it once and we have veteran teachers, then we divide it up. And so we'll say veteran teacher so-and-so is part of, we'll handle week 1 and 2. And veteran teacher so-and-so will handle, week 3, 4, doing this. And they would just really plan it out to the T and help with the new teachers who came on board. Okay, y'all, so we're getting close to 7:30. I just want to pose some other questions. Age of students and size of cohort. What are the thoughts of minimum ages of students and the size of how many teachers and how many students? Who wants to start? I see in there middle school plus. I see 6 cohorts or 6 schools in a group. Thoughts? Did anybody have kids they thought were too young for this? Natalie, did you?
Yes and no. I think at the very beginning, I was questioning whether or not we could, and we always were following. I mean, I always felt that my students were in that flux of every time they get on, they're like, oh, so-and-so is doing this, and they're talking to so-and-so in the other high school. And those are both high schoolers. So they had this in their head like, oh, that the high school kids are talking to one another. Should we butt in if I say something? Or are they going to think I'm, I don't know. It's kind of this, I'm not worthy. I don't know if I don't mean that wrong.
Yeah.
Again, they were in technology classes. We were taking this as a Genius Hour kind of feature where we were learning new tech. And I felt like we've gained so much this year. But again, I felt like if we had maybe been merged in a middle school group, all like 3 or 4 middle school groups were all middle school, and then the high school were high school, and then maybe we could flip-flop those activities, like high school could even reflect and share something of their thoughts to the middle school, as the middle school could maybe reflect something that they would think or see in the high school teams. I almost think that might be a little way of merging where we reflect on each other's sets but that might not be really well received by the high schoolers. But I know my middle schoolers would reflect looking for their approval from a high school level.
So 7th to maybe have 2 sets of cohorts, a 7th and 8th grade and 9th through 12th grade, right?
Yeah.
Now, do you think that we would have lead teachers that come from us veterans to kind of be willing to lead a cohort? I mean, do you think once you've been through this once, do you think you're capable of leading a cohort of 4 or 5, that's how we should multiply? Because I do know that the mistake that I made on Flat Classroom is that it kept growing, but there was still only one of me. And we did have lead teachers, but it still very much depended on the one person in charge. And I cannot do that. Like I can handle a group of, 5 or 6 of us. That was cool. And we all got to know each other. But when you start having 15 and 20 in one cohort, you start losing something.
Yeah.
And it just gets so hard to handle, and it's so much work. And, I have a day job. So, I mean, do you think the best way to do it? We're all going through the process, but then we have these small groups of 4 or 5 schools that are actually the ones connecting the kids. But then maybe we merge the judging together, and, like we could do certain things together, like judging the wiki, the ideas, the Heartbreak Macadamia, and we could like merge some of that activity. But then on coordination wise, we would have smaller cohorts. Is that what we think? We're talking easy. We need simple, easy. What's the simplest, easiest way to help this grow without killing everybody involved?
Mm-hmm.
I do agree with, I already had a small group. I think I like the idea of a smaller cohort. I also like the idea of the middle schoolers being able to collaborate with the high schoolers, because I actually put this in my survey. One of the things that I was probably really hesitant of at the very beginning was what that collaboration would look like as they begin to work with some of the high schoolers. And I'm glad it was mentioned earlier where you were talking about it almost like the kids were almost kind of looking and sensing, looking for approval. And I love I love the fact that, my kids have been ranting and raving about all the high school students on their team.
Oh, cool.
And for them, it was really great. And I you all probably couldn't hear it because we were muted during the presentations, but they were like, oh, that's such and such. Oh, okay, finally, like I had the opportunity to meet this person. So they had remembered names of individuals that they had been interacting with and, people that I guess they kind of looked up to. And it was for them, it was like just a great opportunity to kind of see things come full circle.
Mm-hmm.
But I did like managing a smaller group, because all the students I started off with were not the ones who kind of remained and followed through. But the smaller group, they kind of gave me some life because I recognized just how invested they actually really were. They were more invested than I thought they were.
Yeah.
So I kind of like that idea.
Well, and Junior, one thing, your kids were amazing presenters. I think I know my kids would really benefit from the training and like how you had them laid out and how you scripted and how you had your storyboard. Like that would make a very valuable set of lessons for us to be able to use and to copy from you, because your kids nailed it. I'm sitting here going, what? Like they are so, like every time your kids went on screen, I had somebody behind me was like, oh man, they were so well spoken.
Oh, thank you. But they were enjoying. I mean, like I said, they really enjoyed themselves. And they enjoyed themselves more than I even recognized.
Yeah.
Because even some of the thank you, I sent them the video of the final Zoom and just kind of let them see the results and stuff. And some were like, oh man, none of our groups made it, but we're still happy for everybody. It was like, great job, you guys. I can't wait for this next year. And I was like, that made me feel good. Just to notice that the kids, how well received it was and how they internalized a lot more things than I initially thought.
I would say that the kids who I thought were going to get the most out of it didn't, and the kids who I did not expect to get the most out of it did. I was really shocked. I was really, the uncut group, Freya, who was the little PM, it changed her life completely. I gave out certificates, the academic banquet for first, second, third in the team members from Westwood, and just had them print out certificates and call their names last night, and they all got recognized. And they were so happy. And some of those kids didn't get recognized for anything else. So they were just so excited. So, okay. So what else is it that we have to? We're all filling out the survey, right? It's really hard to think about doing this project again as tired as I am right now. I don't know if you guys feel that way. But I know it's worthwhile. I know it's important. I know it's a great project. I guess I'm just struggling with how can we make it easier. And Susan said it was a lot of work. It was a lot of work. Honestly, though, if Lisa and I hadn't done Flat Classroom, we could never have done it because we actually had learned a lot of mistakes from a lot of mistakes we had made previously. So this project wouldn't even been possible if we hadn't had the 26 before it. So believe it or not, we actually had Lisa and I some major, far worse disasters on prior projects than this one. It was hard, but it was hard because we just never, the Trello and all that stuff was so challenging. But yeah, 26 that you and I, or at least I had to do with. You may have had more, Lisa. But anyway, so I guess I'm just trying to figure out how can we break it down? How can we make it simple or modular or easier, or, is it something that we could each say, okay, I could record a quick video that would really make Trello easier? Or like I'm looking back at those videos and I'm thinking, okay, there's a much easier way to teach some of this stuff or do some of this stuff. I do think the standardizing the Trello columns would be good as long as they understand they can have some flexibility.
Vicki, I would stand up. I would say, I'll raise my hand and say that would be something I would like to do as a contribution, because this summer I submitted my name and I was selected for the e-learning conference. And I know Kevin Honeycutt is going to present at Richmond here in Indiana, and I was looking forward to meeting him. But regardless, I was happy that I put my paperwork in for Trello because of learning it with MadLearn, and I thought the benefits was so great, and my students felt like that workflow was so much better. And some of the students that had talked about homework and trying to make their homework more, get it done kind of thing, that Trello board was something that they adapted and worked with their homework. So anyway, I'm going to do more of that, and I'm going to do a summer presentation. I think it's 30 minutes, but I'm going to do some recording and mini presentations on that. So I'm prepared. So I will share that. If that's something I can pass on, I'll be happy to do that.
You think you could just put it on the Mad About Mattering wiki and some more Trello tutorials? And I'm happy to just kind of get rid of mine and do some more. Yeah, Susan, and that's great. Susan says she's using Trello for her own project management. Trello is one of those things, once you get it and the light bulb goes on, like Mitt, you could tell he got it. He was the Overty group. They were probably one of the best ones at using Trello. They really use it well, but if they don't understand or they don't engage or they're not on the board, you just like, they just miss something, you know? It's such a dichotomy. It's such a interesting, the haves and the have-nots is very apparent. The digital divide in some ways, and the digital divide that we saw was the digital divide in their mind, I think. Those who are willing to try new things, or those who are willing to follow procedures or habits. I do think, the habits of what having checklists of, okay, this is what you should do every day in this order. That's kind of what we did with Flat Classroom. Check here, then do this, then do that. Like, a little checklist. That would help with Trello, first do this and then do that and then do that. And those habits and, did they do their habits? And then I also think the faster we can get them connecting face to face and seeing each other, the better off we're going to be. But that's just so hard to do. So somebody who can think that way is going to have to figure out an easier way to do that. I don't know. I don't have the answer to that. But anybody else have something they think they could add to this, either over the summer, or you're like, hey, I think I can improve this or that? Any other ideas?
Vicki, would it be possible to have any of our students as ambassadors to the program? And
Great idea. I don't know why not.
I had some students who said, I think I could do a better job next year because of learning this year, of helping others, and even making my team stronger. They see it now, and they're not as scaredy pants, the ones that participated and watched the whole programming for finals. They said, I wish I would have known. I would have done that. But at first, they were just so in awe. They didn't step up. I'm really proud of Roscoe for doing that. I know it was real timid, and he did not compare to junior students. They were amazing, and I wanted to make sure I put that on the record because that was a great thing just to see them present. They were so sweet and so, just their voice, their tone was so beautiful that it just made me happy. It made me want to smile while I was watching. It was great.
Yeah, they were great. So, I think there is a way, but, the interesting thing is, Natalie, last year, some of my 10th graders actually did this similar project just within my own school last year when they were 9th graders. And some take you up on it and some don't. So, see, like Mitt and Savin, they were great because they had done it last year. But it's just so hard to predict who's going to take it and who's not. And it's just, it just sticks out. It's not like tests, it's like a whole engagement level is so apparent in something like this. Okay, let's see what else we
I had a quick thought of what. Hello?
Go ahead.
Oh, okay. I had a quick thought, and I'm not sure if you all have received feedback from the judges, and I know we were short a judge or two in regards to results. What was their experience like? Did they find it confusing? Did they find it, just the whole judging, the ability to judge? And I know we were using I know they're getting quite a few different links to kind of judge these different, judge the different apps and stuff. Did you all get any feedback from them?
Well, Susan's the one who can tell us.
Well, it was kind of confusing because I sent them a letter that I thought was pretty clear, outlining what the links to the form was, how the voting process worked, and then I got and I can't remember, I forwarded it to Angela or Alethea to forward to the judges, and then I got the sense that a lot of them hadn't read it, or it got lost in their inbox, or it didn't register. So I almost wonder if it would be good to send it to them in advance and then follow up with the letter, like re-email it like immediately after the judging is over, and say, we just sent you another copy, so check it out. Here are the links, just to reinforce that. And I was really surprised. I mean, I was, very.
I think also making it part of the email and not as an attachment.
Maybe that was it too.
Is part of it, but I mean, the odd thing is, for example, Joseph South, he and I had a conversation back in January, and he said, okay, if you do voting, I can judge.
Right.
I can vote if you have voting is a percentage of it. I said, okay, is 10% high enough? He said, yeah, sure, I can vote and I can judge if the voting is 10%. And then he said he couldn't vote, and I'm like, oh my gosh,
yeah.
After all that. So. But I mean, he was there, so that was great. But I don't know how.
Now, do you think maybe an introductory session with the judges prior to everything might help out as well in regard to? I know with a lot of competitions and different things, you have a training for the judges, so the judges kind of know what to do, how to do it, how to score, how to read the rubric and understand, make sure everyone's on the same playing field. So I was just kind of curious whether we had something like that in place, or whether we may need to get something like that in place. That's something I wouldn't mind.
As a previous judge for Flat Classroom, I can tell you that nobody goes to those. So maybe that's a good idea, but I'm thinking maybe if somebody would make a video that people could watch on their own time. Because I remember as the judge, we would have 3 judges for a team. We had to communicate, right? No one would communicate. I get up in the middle of the night to be able to get these people in line, and they would block me. I'm serious, So, yeah, if you don't want to do synchronous, you want to do asynchronous training.
If it were a really short, funny video, watch this 3-minute video that explains the judging process, and then make it use Powtoon or something to make it funny and super simple and obvious. Maybe they could watch, if you tell them this video is 3 minutes, watch it.
That's a good idea.
Don't make a 10-minute video. They won't watch that. But if you say, here's a 3-minute video that'll tell you everything you need to know about judging Mad About Mattering, I think that might, because they're busy. They don't have time to watch anything long. But if you do it and you make it funny, then they'll watch it and it'll stick. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So.
Yes, yeah.
So I guess I don't know if that's something we would do in we'd have to kind of figure out exactly how the judging was going to work in advance, and Junior and I could work on this project together.
Oh. Yeah, I would say just start thinking about how to do that simply, and we get Natalie to start thinking about, some simple ways to onboard. And, I'm wondering if Lisa and I can consider or think about how you could almost do Handshake and maybe even part of Heartbreak as a once a month or something, so that you could start in January quickly with Heartbreak mapping and green lighting pretty quickly. And then some of this we're going to have to take to Alethea and them. Is there anything else big that we need to bring up before we finish up? I don't even know how I'm still meeting with you guys. I can't tell you how tired I am. I almost feel sick. So tired.
Vicki, I'm sorry. I was going to step in. One thing I noted, that I know we were talking and trying to figure out our schedules to work on the wiki. And I know that in itself was confusing to some of my kids when they lost some of their work. So I definitely feel like that's a twink that we need to work on. I don't know how we do that, but that would be trying to figure out that scheduling. But that might be beneficial for everyone to have more of a support in knowing their material stays
Well, I mean, we could move it to Google Docs. I don't know how. We can figure that out. I just put how to not lose work on the wiki when we're all editing. I don't know the answer to that. I mean, I usually just teach mine how to copy and paste out of the revisions, but yeah. Or get them to pay attention when it says somebody else is editing. That's what drives me crazy, is it tells them usually when somebody else is editing and they just ignore it. Okay, Dawn's about to lose her battery. Dawn, do you want to say anything else before you get off? I think she probably just signed off.
Justin Murphy, whatever.
Go
and
ahead.
then a week later, they drug test.
We hear you, Dawn.
I wasn't.
We hear you, Dawn.
Oh, you can hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. You want to tell us
Sorry.
before you go?
Yeah, I was about to lose my battery here. I just want to let you guys know about just some of my observations. I totally liked Trello, but that's where I kind of liked on the front end that we need to or at least I need to prepare my kids a bit better with the processes so that when they jump in, it's not so much a learning in process. I think I need to kind of prepare them a little bit so that we can move along a lot easier. And my kids caused trouble too as they were doing some things wrong, and then I'd have to go put out fires.
Okay. Anything else, Dawn, before we lose you?
No, that was the only thing I just wanted to add in there.
Cool.
Sorry, I've been tuning in and out with all the football noise behind me.
Awesome. Well, we don't want you to lose your battery. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
You're awesome. Okay, so y'all, I just want to finish up with a big thank you because we have proven it can be done. And I don't know if anybody's willing or able or wants to. I'm sure that we should probably apply for some awards out there because I do think that this was a groundbreaking project. It's certainly better than, Flat Classroom won the ISTE Online Learning Award in 2006. This is far better than that, and it's far better than a lot of the others. I can't submit to ISTE because somebody who's judging hates me, so that would be a waste, but maybe not next year. I don't know. We'll have to figure it out. I mean, the application process for now, I believe, is already closed, so it would have to be for next year anyway. But if you guys see any awards or things out there that we need to get in there, that would be awesome. We can do that. And yeah, I'll be at ISTE for 3 panels. I'm really excited and about that. And but you guys just have done an incredible job, and I think that we should kind of share what we've done and share it far and wide, and be proud of what we've accomplished, because it's truly been very special and very great. And you guys have been incredible to work with. I agree, Susan, and I just can't believe we did it, but it was definitely a we. There was no one person who could have pulled this off themselves. It was definitely some very tenacious, hard-headed, hard-working, vigilant class act teachers. Just great teaching going on. And I'm just really proud of all of you, and so glad that that we got to work together. And anyway, I just want you all to know my appreciation, and I'll be talking to Alethea and Angela and trying to figure out, my big thing is just how can we make things simple? Yeah, we've got these complex apps, but is there an easy way to make things simple? And the funny thing is, the news media, when they kept interviewing me, they kept trying to pit me against the other schools, and they just couldn't understand how this was schools actually working together and how each team was comprised of kids from all different schools. And I really like that model because I don't think that's really done anywhere else. It's all my school versus your school. And I really like the idea of having these heterogeneous groups that are comprised of multiple schools. I think it's just a very refreshing, different approach than, the football games we play and the other stuff and the debates we do. I think it's just a great model. It's just hard to pull off. So I guess the challenge I would have for you guys is, how can we make this brutally simple? Pieces of it, So that's my challenge for you guys is how we've done it. It was very hard, almost killed us. We stuck it out, but what can we do to make it easier? So that's my challenge for all of you as you think about it this summer. And as we come back together, and I would say probably sometime in July, we want to touch base and see who's in, who's out, what everybody's teaching when you know, what you think you'd like to do, what you think you could commit to. And if you have any friends, the other thing I would just say is if we can recruit people we know would do well with this, that would be preferred, because you definitely have to have people who have a commitment. And as you gain popularity, you start getting, I do too, Susan, the mix of public and private is great. Public-private charter, it's fantastic. We saw that in Flat Classroom, and it's just it's a very refreshing way to do things. I just think it's because no school is truly heterogeneous. We're all homogeneous in our own ways. I mean, even if you're completely diverse, you're homogeneous in your diversity, right? So every place is, different. Yeah, cool, Lisa. One of the judges was interested. So I would say just communicate and let each other know, what's going on. Email me, email Lisa. And I'm obviously going to have to recover a little bit after I make it through next week. But anyway, thank you guys for coming. Please add to this Google Doc anything else that you want to do before you sign off. And I think I'm going to sign off now, unless you guys have anything else to say.
I just want to say thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. You've done an amazing job, Natalie. Great job.
+1 on that. Thank you, Vicki. And
You're
everybody.
awesome. Susan, you did an incredible job with judging, and Dawn and Gina did an amazing job with the polls, and Lisa Durf did everything.
No, she didn't.
Oh my gosh, everything. Anybody else have anything you want to say? Junior, are you still there?
He's there, but he's driving, so we know.
He's driving, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you guys, and we'll be back in touch, and y'all wish me luck. I've got to get these movies done. Junior,
Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yeah,
we can.
Oh, okay. I was talking. I didn't recognize I was on mute.
Go for it.
Vicki, quick question. When are you presenting at ISTE?
Monday, and is it Lisa Durf? Is it 1 on Monday, 2 on Wednesday, or?
I think it is, yeah.
Yeah, I've got panel discussions I'm moderating. So 1 on sketchnoting, 1 on blended learning, and 1 on, I think, makerspace best practices with lots of superstars. Yeah. Are you presenting?
Okay, awesome. Well, I'm actually going to be there with kids and stuff. So
Cool.
Promethean has us at their class flow booth on the exhibition floor. So I'll actually be there, I think, the 27th and 28th, or the 26th and 27th, or something like that. So I'll be there with Dr. Jones, and I think Dr. Jones and Mr. Clark.
Awesome.
There, so.
Oh, dancing
Yeah,
time.
Mr. Clark. So, hey, Lisa Durf, maybe you can ping everybody. We can see how we can get together or something. We could have lunch or dinner or something crazy, or see each other, because I definitely like to see everybody.
I will send everybody when you're going to be there and all that stuff.
Yeah, cool, because we'd like to see everybody. And I'll be recording episodes of my show, so anybody of you who want to do that, you can always make an excuse and say, hey, I need to see Vicki so I can record a show. Right, Junior?
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, guys. Well, thank you all so much, and I hope everybody makes it through the end and does it well. And thank you all for all that you've done. From the bottom of my heart, y'all, this has been the best global collaborative project I've ever been part of. The best out of all 26. I guess this makes 27 now. It's the best. It's the best because I've always had amazing teachers on every project. But what we did was, it's almost like the Bionic Man. It was the Bionic Project. Better, stronger, faster, more. We accomplished so much more. I don't even know how we did it. It was Herculean. So much work, so little time, and such transformational experiences for some of these students. Really great. So I'm just proud of everybody, and we stuck it out. We accomplished a lot. It's something we'll look back on our teaching careers and go, we were part of that. So let's just see where it goes and communicate. And one exciting piece of news. It looks like, not to do with Mad About Mattering, but it looks like I'll be in Women's Day in the fall. Not a big article, but just a little bitty mention probably. But they asked for a picture. I don't know why they asked for a picture, Lisa Dorf. She'll figure that out. But
They'd like you. You're smiling and, you know, you're pretty and
I feel fat and tired right now. But anyway, that's exciting. So, okay. Well, y'all been awesome. And let's just keep on plugging and keep communicating. And you guys are all top of my book. So good job, everybody.